Yeah, well, I know it's dark and gloomy, but conserve power as much as I can. I'll be posting a little bit later on this one. I'm responding to the Ring of Fire, doing an episode basically as if we were going to be suffering through plagues, and where they mentioned in the Revelations of the New Testament, or just in the Exodus in the Old Testament, or throughout the Bible, of what we're dealing with here. I mean, we are dealing with something here that's threatening our health and our livelihood, and we did it in our own selves. Aren't we fortunate? With the climate control going out of oh, what am I? Oh, okay. It's 12:25 Pacific Standard Time. It is July 27th, 2023. This is the Weaver Agency of Roseman, California. Satisfied? Thank you. So basically, the climate change and everything else going screwy is our fault. But we don't want to accept responsibility or transparency. We blame it on the finger of God. God's pissed off at the human race, and therefore he's making his displeasure known. Ring of Fire was talking about the plagues that are descending upon us, and he was comparing to the plagues that they were mentioning in Exodus. Now, going through the Christian Broadcasting Network, and I did a Google search on this one here, because I wanted to know what they were saying. There was an article back in December 10th, 2022. They were saying 25 Bible passages about plagues and pestilence. Now, in Exodus, where Moses was sent back to basically give the king of Egypt, or I'm sorry, the Pharaoh of Egypt, an ultimatum from God. You're going to free these people, or else we're going to give so much grief on you that you're going to let these people go. In the process, it's just only pissing Pharaoh off more and more. There had to be some theatrical versions so you can actually watch this. YouTube's got a lot of them. I like the theatrical version of Cecil B. DeMille. I know, I was used to that one. I'd seen the other televised versions, but I got so used to Cecil B. DeMille all the time. It was just the perennial. How God was displeased and he had to be theatrical about it. I'm like, why not? But if you want to look at it simply during those days, let's see, the water turned to red. God needed some kind of natural excuse for that one. Maybe some red mud got stirred up somehow. Muddied up the water would look like it was blood. And then you had the bugs coming out and all the other creatures because they depended upon the Nile water, and now they're going into people's homes left and right along the Nile, pissing people off left and right. Maybe the water got overheated somehow. They're talking about water boiling. And they found boils on their skins. Well, infection going on. So what Exodus Bible would say that Exodus 7:17 is changing water to blood. Um, 8:1 Exodus 8 verse 1 through 15. And after they got blood in there, then okay, Aaron, give the staff to Moses. Moses go stretch it out, and here comes the critters coming after it. Well, they were coming anyway. They just needed a band leader. And gnats and flies and everything else coming, pestilence and stuff. And then there's going to be some kind of virus going around or something like that to contaminate everything. Maybe the liquid that they got already is heavily contaminated with so much viral and bacterial stuff that it was making their livestock and their animals sick, not to mention human beings. Of course, if you have weather conditions happening over there, talking about lightning and devastations. So there must have been some kind of atmospheric condition happening during that time that added instability, air in air, heated air, not to mention the cold air, mixing in with it, or a wave of moisture somewhere to cause thunderstorms to happen. God uses a lot of tools at his beck and call to make his own showmanship at this point over here. I mean, I love it during the summer days when I'm looking outside and I can see the clouds forming up, and there's enough moisture in the air, unstable air, that you see the clouds building up, and then you see them towering like crazy. If you see them from a distance, maybe a few clouds building up is one thing, but when you see a whole stretch of them, and then somehow you see this darkened area underneath them, and then, oh, you see the lightning storms. It's so breathtaking. But when you're underneath them, whoa, watch out. But back then, they looked at it as signs that maybe there was something wrong. And it probably was. Maybe God was pissed because he was using the natural elements of the earth to get Moses' attention at this point, or actually the Pharaoh's attention at this point. And here's the thing. This is the one that usually gets to me. After everything else had been done, I mean, if you watch the theatrical versions of them, come to me no more, Moses. For the next time you see my face, you will surely die. Moses will go, let it be written. I will give the Hebrews a response in their God that they will never forget. Commander of the hosts, get these people over here. Get these people over here. We're going to have a bloodbath. The firstborn of Hebrew shall. And he had to mention the word die. He had to open up his big fat mouth because somewhere in the if I was watching the CCB DeMille picture on this one here, I'm seeing Burt Lancaster. No, Charlton Heston. If there is one more plague on Egypt, it's coming out of your damn dirty mouth. I'm paraphrasing this one. Out of your damn mouth, and you're gonna cause all the damn problems over here, and then blah blah blah. That's when Pharaoh goes, come to me no more, because you see my face, I'll surely kill you for that one. And I was like, go ahead and try, let it be written. Thinking, oh my God, here we go. It's like every time I keep watching this thing, it's like, you just had to shut up, didn't you? I mean, if you just cooperated originally here, you wouldn't have this damn problem. No. How do you explain the fire from the sky? I kept thinking maybe there was a volcanic activity out there somewhere. Maybe there was a volcano going off and threw up some ash clouds out there. And even in the ash clouds, when they were right around a volcano, there was a lot of atmospheric conditions where you see the sparking like crazy all around the place. You see the lightning coming out of it. It was like, oh man, just seeing the pictures these days when you have photographers doing that. It's like lightning and thunder out of a volcano? Yeah. Besides the rock, there's also water vapors and gas vapors mixing in. Given certain combinations and certain mixtures and something else, something, you get the spectacular stuff. Besides getting the rocks flying out, being forced out because of the volume of the rock, I think the volcano was about to throw up. Part of the earth was about to throw up. Just force and momentum and energy. And then you see the stuff going. I wonder if they ever reported that in the Bible somewhere. Probably not. That would have been something. Because having some of that stuff fly throughout the air and then land in certain portions of Egypt just to scare the hell out of Pharaoh. That would have been something, you know. Here comes the hot rock. The hail comes. It's not hail, it's volcanic ash coming down. Hard and fast. It's the only thing I can come up with. But concerning about the last portion when Pharaoh threatened, how is it that lamb's blood was going to be the signpost that tell the pestilence that was coming through? Back off, Jack. So maybe it was random that didn't even bother to pick up on. Maybe there were some people who actually didn't have the blood on the lintels and door sills and window sills and stuff like that to let the pestilence know about it. But I also like to think about it as whoever got the job upstairs coming down here to do this thing, he probably wasn't happy about it. I mean, yeah, do the Lord's work. Yeah, you'd be happy about this. But now you're escorting a bunch of people up again. Oh man, he must have really had a bad, or must have got a team of them that go throughout the land of Egypt or certain areas and just, okay, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming. The stuff that we're dealing with right now that they were talking about on the channel of Ring of Fire. Water boiling because we got the global warming happening a great deal than we anticipated. We've had waters increasing up about 80 to 90 last 20, 30 years. But nearly 100 degrees. And the ice at the northern areas are creating icebergs that are floating into shipping lanes. They're floating into shipping lanes. They're breaking off left and right. And what scares the hell out of me is when you have South Pole also having it. Usually, if I understood the science correctly at this point over here, the Earth is on a tilt. It's not a round ball, but it does have a bulge because of gravity. You know, it spins, and we got a bulge going out, but it's not flat. It's just a little pudgy round. But even with that, there still spins on an axis while it's going. So basically, it's going like this, and while it's going on its spin, on its 24/7 cycle, the bottom portion of the hemisphere is supposed to be experiencing cold winter, and the top portion of it getting roasted alive by the sun is experiencing a hell of a lot of heat. And with the gases that we've got trapped in the atmosphere, especially the carbon dioxide, that is a hell of a way to trap the atmosphere. We're increasing the heat because the carbon dioxide keeps the heat locked in. Now, if we actually had a hell of a lot more plants and trees, maybe we could have prevented this a hell of a long while ago, but we're so screwed up humans, we don't even know what the hell we're doing half the time. So, as far as I understand things, observing a great deal, observing that we are going under fast. We may have a cold winter, or we barely have a cold winter, if we're going to be surviving long enough. And the South will be cooking up again, and Australia, if they've already been burned once, they'll probably get burned again. And not to mention the portions of South Africa. But what concerns me more is the climate conditions at the South Pole. And how much meltage we're talking about, and how much of the glacial ice is melting like crazy. Now, some people say, well, so long ago we actually had that. Yeah, well, they keep forgetting that in the primordial gases we actually had, we didn't have developed enough of the photosynthesis. We didn't have the plants necessary to, or not enough of the plants converting carbon dioxide into oxygen that probably would have regulated the atmosphere like crazy. And yet, there was something, and some of the scientists are still arguing with each other on this one. There's been nothing solidified that there was a major cataclysmic cosmic event that changed a hell of a lot of our lives and the life of the Earth, throwing up so much gas and dust in the air that it trapped a lot of things, and instead of baking the planet, we got a cold ice age. All the plants that thrived on warm, intense air and heat, moist, really moist, are dying off left and right. The animals who depended upon it one way or another, or actually were dependent upon the climate, also had passed away. They're still digging up dinosaur bones all over the earth. Still looking at the strata, still looking at the surrounding areas, trying to understand where the animals were when they died and what the hell was going on around them. Paleontology is still out there. Paleoarchaeology, we might as well call it. Because we're still trying to study the past. And that's supposed to be helping us out left and right. Why do you think the scientists keep trying to do core samples left and right? They're measuring, they're analyzing, they're doing whatever tests they can to figure out what the hell happened in the past, so hopefully to prevent stuff from happening in the future. And right now, we got that cycle going on, either by man-made or by nature-made, or maybe by both. Maybe by both. I wouldn't call it the seven plagues of man, or of the Bible, but I do call it man screwing it up one way or another. Our oceans are boiling us alive, are boiling up the Coral Sea. We got fires happening on a constant basis in different areas that shouldn't have happened, but it happened anyway. We got diseases happening. We got people playing politics with them. Leprosy? Leprosy? I don't know if the story was true enough that you actually can get leprosy from an armadillo. I don't know if that thing is true or not. I gotta research that one. Leprosy? That's a bad thing we got malaria passing through and nailing Florida on this one. Tuberculosis? We still have TB from time to time happening out there. The reasons why we had immunizations all the time because we didn't want to get that disease and harming everyone else's health. You can't build enough antibodies regarding TB because it cripples people left and right. And the people who actually survived it, they know better. Or maybe they did, or used to. So, in responding to the Ring of Fire at this point, maybe you should have been looking at the Bible in this one, even though you probably were an atheist. And I'm not knocking you about anything regarding having faith or not having faith, but look at the Bible maybe as a record. Now, I've got history professors and I got Western civilization professors out in colleges, including the one I've got right now that I'm still attending. 57-year-old fart, almost going to be graduating in about a semester and a half. And I've been at it for several years. 2 classes at a time. Hey, I didn't want to kill myself in the studying. I know a few other people. Actually, I had a brother of mine damn near died studying at college. He had cardiac history, but the stress of it was driving him nuts. And he was on a rush job. He almost died, but he didn't, and he had to drop out. And I was still in it, and I'm still in it. There's a lot of things, a lot to the story. I got other videos talking about it. But the point I'm trying to make at this here is, even certain biblical records can be used as historical content. If it's the only thing that we've got for history of over thousands of years. And if we're actually finding them in clay pots, ancient, brittle papyrus with information typed in it, or even stones that have etchings on them that haven't been destroyed by weathering or by other means, pieces of records that we have to help us understand our past. There's four plagues in the Revelations that they were talking about: war, famine, pestilence, and death. We can make fun of it, but we're already going through the war cycle. Pestilence is going to be coming up. I got pestilence here. I got bug war. Literally. I'm still trying to deal with those schmucks. Famine, when the food prices keep going up and we're going to be hardly having any food on the shelves, yeah, now we're talking about the famine situation. But war, that's a constant. That's constant. Hell, we can't even have one particular year without a damn war somewhere else. We got to have the constant beast fed on this one. More bloodshed, more body bags. Feed the beast, feed the beast. Try to imagine what a future is going to be, but we can't because we're prevented from that. We don't know how to get past it. And for right now, the only thing we can do is deal with what we've got. So, what else can I say? Please try to do your research better.